Is the employee handbook valuable? Just the whole legal perspective.
Well, exactly. One of the things that you just said, opposite sides of the spectrum, both equally dangerous. That, oh, I'm too small. I've got 10 employees. I don't need a handbook side. And then, oh, no problem. I'm using the same handbook I used at a Fortune 500 company. Neither one of these is typically what the average employer needs. So, or in the context of the small employer, yes, you want to have an employee handbook. It sets expectations. Employees need to know, and it's fairness, what's expected of them. Once you have a policy in place and it's in writing, it's so much easier to have employees adhere to that policy. And say, why does that matter? If you want to hold an employee accountable in terms of discipline, or even if ultimately it comes to termination, you need to be able to have something to point to say, hey, you were given this process. We didn't treat you differently than anyone else. Everyone is held to the same standard. Even if you're doing that in practice, it makes it very easy for a disgruntled employee to challenge if there's not a policy. Fortunately, courts in all jurisdictions, but I practice in New Jersey and New York, very familiar. Pennsylvania law, however, is the same. They have what's called an affirmative defense for employers. That means if an employee challenges an employer's employment practice and the employer has it in writing, put it in a handbook, implement it. You have to implement what's in the handbook. That's the challenge, right? Once you have a policy, you have to put it in practice evenly for all employees. So you still can you offer an exception? Maybe, but be careful. When you start offering exceptions, that's where you whittle things down. That's where you want to call HR for your small biz and say, hey, is it okay to do this? And get an outside professional opinion as to whether they offer the exception. But we all want to be human. We want to help people.
Right.
But at the same time, when is that a good business decision? And when does it help to mitigate risk? But for employers to get that affirmative defense, if you have the policy in practice in writing, and then you have the employee at the end on the last page of the handbook acknowledge receipt.
Right.
But it's more than just acknowledging receipt. We want to make sure employees say they had a chance to ask their questions. Because some employees will say, well, gosh, I got this, 100-page handbook. How am I supposed to read it? So I signed the last page and turned it back over, all within 5 minutes of receipt, and the employer took it and that was it, and threw it in the desk. No affirmative defense.